Okay, morning everybody. It's my pleasure and thank you very much for the invitation to continue Oxitec's attendance at this event. A little bit of background first of all. Oxitec was an Oxford spin-out company from the university, funded by venture capital, and 18 months ago was bought by Intrexon. Intrexon is a 2.8 billion market cap New York Stock Exchange company. And the thesis around Intrexon is better DNA. And we're applying this biosynthetic technology across a range of sectors: health, food, the environment, and consumer. The story here is one about vector control. I'm going to focus on the mosquito and bring you up to speed with the progress the company is making at Oxitec. And the subject I'm going to talk to you about is Aedes aegypti, the friendly mosquito as we call it. So before I say that, because we're a public company, you can read that very quickly. Forward-looking statement. Our technology is based around the self-limiting technology, as was alluded to by a previous speaker. The self-limiting gene means that the offspring don't survive. So we release male mosquitoes with the gene into the environment. In the production of those male mosquitoes, the gene is repressed. And the nice thing about this technology, it's very clean. It does not persist in the environment. So once you stop releasing the mosquitoes, naturally enough, because of the gene, they die out. So it's a very clean technology, a very environmental friendly technology. And again, picking up the theme of a previous speaker, we can target this technology on hotspots where the mosquito, the Aedes population is particularly high. And we can do that using the marker gene, where we collect the eggs, raise the eggs, look at the larvae under the microscope, and those that fluoresce are those that contain the self-limiting gene. So this enables us to monitor the population very closely and enables us to adjust the number of mosquitoes we release in the data we're receiving from the egg traps. And I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. But the very key point here about the technology is it does not persist in the environment, and the technology with the fluorescent gene enables us to track in the environment. The company has generated excellent efficacy data across a range of different geographies. You can see the data there in the Cayman Islands, Panama, and in Brazil. The important thing here is the alternative method, vector method of control, is relatively inefficient. If you look at insecticide control of Aedes, it probably gets no better than 50%. So by releasing the male mosquitoes into the environment, we're achieving over a period of time very significant improvements in the standard of vector control. And you can see also that we've done this work with a range of different institutes. So we've collaborated with 3 institutes there. You can see the Mosquito Research Control Unit, University of Sao Paulo, and the Gorgas Institute in Panama. So we're getting really good results. We're getting really good results in the field. I think the other thing to bear in mind in relation to the diseases carried by Aedes is these are really spreading geographically. They're becoming highly significant. You can see up there the data for dengue, the WHO data, which shows 40% of the global populations at risk. You can see the costs, and the costs of these diseases to the human economy, the healthcare economy, are far more substantive than the costs of vector control. And of course, I think we're all aware of the prevalence of Zika and the march of Zika up from Brazil into Southern America. So this is a very significant issue. It's a significant healthcare risk. And we believe we can help in the vector control, preventing the spread of these diseases. So a little bit about the program. How do we achieve, how do we produce these mosquitoes? How do we release these mosquitoes? And the technology has moved on very significantly in Oxitec over the last couple of years. Naturally enough, the process starts by the production process, which you can see at the top of screen there. We hatch the eggs, separate the sexes, and we only release the non-biting males. That's a significant difference to the Wolbachia approach. as you heard previously from a speaker. We started off by distributing these mosquitoes literally from pots with a couple of guys sitting in the back of a Jeep. It's a little bit more sophisticated now. We distribute from a vehicle. We distribute at a prescribed rate. We get an even coverage, and we actually track that release and those hotspots using GPS, GIS, and mobile systems. So we know exactly where we're releasing those mosquitoes. We've studied the environment prior to making those releases. When those mosquitoes go out, search, mate, consequently the population falls as a result of the release, and we monitor that suppression and track that suppression. And then we can, to again a point that a previous speaker made, we can then adjust the level of release. So and a standard release is about 200 male mosquitoes per head of the population, so we can adjust that according to the population in the zone we're treating. And we can adjust that as the population falls, which hopefully my next slide will show. No, it won't. It shows the growing regulatory momentum. So I think a key point here in relation to particularly the slow build but traction we're now seeing with the technology is that indeed even in Europe we're seeing our biosafety packages getting approval and support. And we deliberately targeted, if I can use the terminology, more sophisticated regulatory environments in order to win over the popularity of the technology and win over these regulatory environments. So most recently we've had the French High Council examine our biosafety package and recommend it goes forward, and we've had the Dutch National Institute for Public Health and Environment also declaring that our biosafety package has negligible risk to the environment. So I think the message here is really that unlike some of the plant GMO technologies, there does seem to be a way of winning over the regulators and the environmentalists in the context of this very exciting technology. A little bit about adaptive release. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see our hotspot targeting, and the dots indicate the traps, and you can see the bright areas are the high intensity of mosquitoes. And what we can do with our technologies, we can go in and specifically release a higher number of mosquitoes where you've got those hotspots and bring that population down, and you can do lower release in the areas where the population is lower and consolidate and maintain that reduction in the population. And this is what the middle graph here shows. You can see the population falling, but what you can also see is the number of mosquitoes we release. There's a three-step system here. So as the population comes down, you can reduce the population of male mosquitoes that you're releasing into the environment. And to a point that a previous speaker has also made, what you can see on the far right-hand side is there's inevitably seasonality in this. So this needs to be taken into account in relation to where the work is undertaken, what the conditions are, and the number of mosquitoes you release. So we've got a highly adaptive release mechanism that's linked with technology, GIS, mobile phones, and we can target these hotspots and adapt our release mechanism to reduce the population in relation to the environment and the density of that human population. So in conclusion then, what we're seeing now in Oxitec is a result of the work that has been done over the last couple of years. We're seeing growing regulatory momentum and support, including Europe, for the technology. We're getting increasing commercial traction. The company recently announced a contract in Brazil, Juiz de Fora commercial contract, for the release of these male mosquitoes, the friendly Aedes. We have technology that now enables us through GIS and through the mobile phone to develop adaptive strategies specifically suited to the environment. And we have an integrated data management system now which links our production to demand, a so-called ERP system. So we're applying the lessons of production and supply to this system. And our mission in life is really to improve the quality of life of those individuals who are suffering from these horrible diseases. Thank you very much for your time and attention.